When it comes to gardening, the removal of weeds are usually at the top of our list, but you might want to reconsider, as organic vegetable gardener Linda Garvad has a different approach to weeds. We join her at the Saxon Hotel, Villas and Spa's spectacular organic rooftop garden.
Many of you may recognize this. This is a dandelion. Remember when you were younger and used to blow these and make a wish? Well, today we're going to talk about a few of my favorite weeds. A lot of people ask me how to get rid of them, but I've got a totally different view on weeds. I have a use for them, not only in my organic garden, but in my kitchen as well. My first must-have favorite weed is a dandelion. Now, dandelions often get confused with other weeds because they look really similar. So I want to point out to you that there are some identifying characteristics that you can look out for, so when you see them, you know what you should eat and what you shouldn't. And don't be deterred from the white milk that comes out of the stem or the leaves. It is not poisonous at all, and you can eat the whole plant. So the amazing thing about dandelions is you'll see that each individual stem has only one flower at the top, and the flower is yellow. You can eat these flowers and they make such a pretty mix in a salad. The younger leaves are commonly eaten in Italy as a salad instead of lettuce, and they're really tasty. The older leaves, like these big serrated ones over here, they're a bit bitter. But the good thing about bitter is that it's an indication that it's good for your digestion. And the roots of dandelions are in fact used to make bitters, which is wonderful after a very fatty meal. So I like to grow dandelions in my garden because not only do they accumulate lots of nitrogen and copper, they benefit all the plants around them because of that. So remember to include these big bitter leaves in your health juices every morning. They are so good for you. And if you want to keep the dandelions in control, because they can spread everywhere, just harvest them really often. You can throw the whole plant, the leaves. Just remember to exclude the seed when you throw them on your compost pile. They also speed up the decomposition process and add nutrition into your compost pile. Isn't that fantastic? My second favorite weed to have in a garden is purslane. And the amazing thing about purslane is they accumulate lots of calcium, nitrogen and potassium from deep within the soil. So all the plants growing around them definitely benefit from that. But we've planted these purslane here because they are required to use them in their salads at the hotel. Interestingly though, when you find them growing in the cracks of your pavement or your driveway, the leaves, they are still very succulent leaves, but they are much smaller, and the plant normally grows much flatter to the ground. The stems are also quite pink, and the leaves are much smaller. So giving them this nutritious, wonderful environment with lots of water, they seem to be growing into little trees, which are very, very attractive. They are quite mild in flavor, and they can withstand terribly dry conditions. So purslane is a must-have, not only for your kitchen because they're high in vitamin C and complex B vitamins, but also in your organic vegetable garden. Eating them raw should be done with caution. It's much more preferable to cook them so that they can get rid of any of the toxic oxalates which exist within them. You may have noticed I never wear gloves besides when I'm composting, but in the garden I certainly don't like to wear anything on my hands. But for these babies, it's a must. This is stinging nettle and they sting. So if you touch them without gloves on, they are going to hurt you and they are going to make your skin red and quite stingy. So what I suggest is you have some fresh bulbinella on hand so you can just wipe the gel over that sting and within seconds it will be gone. The amazing thing about this plant is not only that it's a massive immune booster, so remember to include them in your health juices every single morning if you can, but they also include silica and potassium from deep within the soil. So any plants that grow around them really do benefit. If you're worried about drinking these in your healthy juices and getting stung, you don't have to, because we have an enzyme in our saliva that completely neutralizes that sting. Isn't that amazing? So now I can freely touch the stinging nettle, harvest some of them, because it's also fantastic to use in a weed tea fertilizer. Or you can dry these leaves, and when they dry, take just 5 mils, put them in a cup, pour some hot water over it, leave it for 5 minutes, and enjoy it with some honey. Now I have an absolute weed bonus for you. I'm going to show you and tell you how to make a weed fertilizer tea with using the best weeds we have available for that. And that's dandelion and stinging nettle. Now both of these can be put directly onto your compost piles because they increase the decomposition process and they add so much more nutrition to your compost. But if you want a great foliar feed just to use in your house plants, or if you want to just pour it directly onto your tomatoes, which will love this, then you can just make one of these and they'll be ready in 4 weeks. So what I have here is a bunch of dandelion leaves, and I've left the seed part on purpose because I want to show you that you really should remove that. So I'm going to do that. Just snip it off. There you go. And my stinging nettle, yes, use gloves for this because remember, they do sting and it hurts. You need a bucket with a lid because it can get rather stinky and you want to keep all that smell inside the bucket. So what we do is we take our bucket. You can see this bucket's not very large. It's about a 10-litre bucket and that's sufficient. And we're going to just throw our leaves inside. I'll show you what I'm doing and throw the stinging nettle leaves over the dandelions. Makes no difference. Don't even have to stir it up. All you have to do now is pour in some water. Preferable to use rainwater, but if you don't have rainwater, use the water you have. Make sure that when you fill the bucket, it just needs to cover the leaves. You don't need to fill the whole bucket with water because you can dilute the mixture eventually. Right. Once your water's in, you just push the leaves down. You don't need to put anything on top to keep the leaves down. You just put the lid on top. It's a good idea to stir every single day so you get some oxygen into this, and you leave it in the sun for about 4 weeks. And eventually, you'll get what looks like this. So this is our brew that we had going for quite some time. It actually doesn't smell at all. It's been done about 3 months ago and I've kept it because you can keep it. I've poured it in a spray bottle over here and I use this for my pot plants, my house plants. Whether it is my strawberries in a pot or parsley on my windowsill, they absolutely love it. It gives them a boost. If you want to use it directly in the garden, that's absolutely perfect. You don't actually have to dilute this. It won't burn your plants. But if you want a little to go a long way, then you can use half into your watering can, half of your weed tea fertilizer with half water, or you can use 10 mils to 1 litre, whatever you prefer. You don't have to worry about this ever burning your seedlings or your seeds or your wonderful vegetables. And I can tell you, tomatoes love this brew. So go out there and try and make yourself some of this. And if you have any other wonderful ideas for us on your weeds that you use, please let us know. We always want to hear from you.
After the break, I join landscape designer Michael Rickhoff as we kick off a new segment that will guide you through the process of designing your garden.